Charlie Rose, the CBS anchor who has been accused of sexual harassment, wants to host a new show where he hosts some of the men who have been toppled by the Me Too movement. Now, writer and women's advocate Tina Brown confirmed that she was recently approached to produce a Me Too atonement series starring Rose, who would interview others embroiled in sexual harassment scandals. Now, as you know, Charlie Rose has been accused of sexual harassment by 8 women, groping, lewd calls, nudity, and things of that nature. Less than a year ago, and already he's on his comeback tour. Brown explained to the group that she was having none of it and remarked, these guys are already planning their comebacks. Now, Fortune reported there's been an ominous drip, drip, drip of stories reporting on how these men are faring in exile and speculating about how they might stage their comebacks. Now, some of the interviewees will be Louis C.K. and Matt Lauer. There's been a few articles about Matt Lauer, you know, how he has just stayed in his Manhattan mansion or his Hamptons mansion, and he hasn't seen the light of day. But recently, he was seen lunching in the city. So he's, you know, back on the scene, which is disturbing. What do you guys think about this show idea?
Oh my God. You know, my grandmother used to say, no tiene vergüenza en la cara, which literally means has no shame on his face. Like, just to think that someone, I mean, it's opportunistic and it's really disgusting because it's just like, let me see if I can turn my recent drama into a check and work my way back into this. And it just seems like, it seems disingenuous. And I'm so glad that a woman shut it down. You know, I'm so glad that a woman said, get that up out of here, bro.
Yeah. It's so interesting to think about these men that have enjoyed daily interaction with the camera and with an audience, trying to deal with the fact that people don't want to see them, people don't want to hear from them anymore, and think that already this quickly a redemption moment is what we're looking for. So I think they're still living in this really like unshatterable narcissistic bubble, and I'm wondering what could get to them, what could penetrate it. I also think that this is a exposure of the failure, one part of the failure of the Me Too movement. And that is that it's become so punitive that there isn't room for having a conversation about transformative justice. And transformative justice isn't just about punishing people and discarding them. It's about how can we put people in conversation and engage them so that this behavior doesn't repeat itself, so that people aren't encouraged by this behavior. So if you throw people out, their first sort of counter offense is to go hard again. So we need to figure out what it means to live with these folks who are the products of patriarchy.
Right.
You know?
I think, so my biggest issue with this sort of comeback tour that a lot of these men are planning is, one, that it is essentially capitalizing on their wrongdoings, right? And capitalizing, frankly, on their victims' pain, right? And that brings me to my second point, in that a lot of the women who have come forward or who dealt with some of this trauma, they had to change career paths. They've lost their jobs. They have been blackballed in the industry. They have been, even coming forward now during the Me Too movement, they have just been relegated to the sideline. They don't get a comeback tour. They don't have a chance in the light. We're not talking to those women and giving them the opportunities. Again, we're giving the men the opportunities. And I agree with you, Maytha, that we need to figure out a way to educate, right? To create a shift in culture. But having a show that literally surrounds about white men talking about sexual harassment and how they did it, I don't think is the way to go.
I'm glad you brought up white men, though. But I just want to just say quickly, because I did an interview for The Hollywood Reporter about Louis C.K. and I was being asked about sexual harassment, but they did 2 articles, and one was about Louis C.K.'s comeback. And a bunch of women wrote these articles attacking me because I said, you know, I never said if I think Louis C.K. should come back or shouldn't, but I said if he does come back, then he should use that as an opportunity to speak directly to the people who think like him, because I can talk to those people till I'm blue in the face and they're not gonna listen to me. But I wasn't endorsing a comeback because I didn't know there were other men that were being interviewed. they saw me perform, they came, they asked me some questions, they put me in this article, and then all these women wrote these articles. And what I want to say is, we also, when you just said it, a white man, the intersections about the sexual harassment and this Me Too movement that is, for me, who works in Hollywood, it feels very elitist sometimes, and it feels like these Hollywood white women who have opportunities can go out and lead the charge. But people like myself and other women of color, and we have these conversations behind closed doors, we're not afforded the opportunity to go out and say, Harvey Weinstein did that to me. Because look what happened when Lupita said it, he denied it. And when the girl with Lena Dunham's company said that she was raped, the two women said that, stood by the guy. So what I'm saying is, like, this is problematic. I do agree with what you're saying. When Dave Chappelle said it, a lot of people came for him because he's a man, and there's no woman of equal power in comedy to counter what Dave Chappelle is saying. But I do agree with the fact that at some point we have to have dialogue. I educate my son just as much as my daughter about how you treat human beings. And I think that we can't just we can't do the witch hunt thing.
No. Of course not. And they also have used this comment of the witch hunt coming after them, which is so ironic, given the fact that the witch hunt was directly targeting women. And literally to disempower them and to disenfranchise them. But I do want to say and clarify, but what I mean about transformative justice is, no, I don't want to hear from you in this moment where you're being empowered to capitalize, as you said, to profit off of your persecution of women. What I would prefer, and I would offer the strategy that I know some men are coming together and creating affinity groups to talk about what it means to be in this environment and how the pressures of being raised around societal standards of what it means to be a man. That dialogue isn't actively being had, and I think when that starts to open things up, then you can get to the nitty-gritty of, you know what, man, that was f***ed up. That was messed up. I know we're not supposed to curse anymore.
I think that's a really good point.
If you become a member of the Young Turks, you'll be saying,
I'm like a smart person.
So do it right now, tytnetwork.com/join. Get the whole Young Turks show every day.